Hello, lovies. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here talking about this right now. My name is Trish Witulski. I am here from ReLived Consignment Company, and I'm absolutely stoked. I have been selling online, doing consignment since 2006, a long time. I want to give you the background of how it all started, why I chose consignment, and maybe you can find some inspiration or desire within my story to start your own consignment business. That's why I'm here. I want to help you. I've helped so many people over the years, and I am just ready to get this out there for so many reasons. So let's discuss. I started when eBay was rather new. So, like 2005, I signed up for an eBay account and ordered things on there for my wedding, for my babies when they were little. And by 2006, I had learned how to list things. I would list stuff the kids had outgrown, things for household goods, just random stuff. And I was a stay-at-home mom, which was such a dream, but we were living on one income in Colorado, so that was difficult. And my kid's dad was working, building a wealth management business. And when you start in financial services, you're living on commission, and there wasn't much coming in. And it was a lot of time. So I had a little hobby on Saturday mornings. He would spend his time with our sons, and I would go garage sailing. And it started as just, grab a coffee, open the sunroof, drive around and enjoy my me time out doing something that was fun. But you could also find stuff for us and for the kids for cheap and work within our tiny budget. So it was a fun hobby. But while I was out, I would see things at garage sale prices and think, oh, I bet I could put this up on eBay and at least turn a little bit of a profit. I remember my first $7 profit. I was absolutely over the moon watching that auction rise and then end. And oh my gosh, it was the most exciting thing. So I was hooked. I got hooked right then and there and started looking into how could I get inventory to sell on eBay without a big investment. I'm watching, my husband at the time build this business, and business can be expensive. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of investment, a lot of business expenses, especially when you're starting up. And really, I wanted a hobby, and funding anything in my life through this hobby was a bonus to me, and I was super excited about it. So as I went to these garage sales, I'd see things and say, "Hey, you know, is there anything that you have in there that you just weren't really wanting to let go of at garage sale prices?" And the feedback was amazing. People, well, yeah, I have so much in here. Hey, come look at this. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have that. So the next week, I printed up silly little flyers and I brought them with me and I handed them out to all the garage sale people and just said, here you go. This is a new service that I'm doing. I'll do it on consignment. I take a commission, and really the only other thing there is to cover is the fees for the eBay listing and sales fees. So if you have anything in here that is just not ready for donation, you don't want to sell it as a garage sale, and you want to try to get more money out of it, give me a call. And the response was so awesome. I had the most fun. I had people reach out for everything from car parts to clothing to collectibles. And collectibles is where I kind of started and where it got really fun for me. So, this beautiful woman, Connie, had a garage sale and I met her there. And she called me and I was so excited. And she's like, can you come over and look? My mom recently passed. She was a collector, and I have tubs and tubs of things in my basement. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know if they're worth anything. What do I do? I was like, well, this is perfect. Let's explore it together. So I went over, and at the time, I had an at home desktop PC. That was it. I wasn't bringing a laptop. We didn't have the eBay app yet. This was just go write everything down, and then I could come home and research it for her. So I'm taking notes. I didn't have a camera phone. There was no photos. Just just writing everything down, trying to remember what I had seen. And she had some really cool stuff. That was one of the first things that I noticed. I've always been appreciative of beauty, of aesthetics. I love landscape photography and sunsets and a lake view and the ocean front. And I just beautiful things feed my soul. And that's how I felt about collectibles. Some of these things they're so pretty. The artisans behind it, the love that people have for it so much that they accumulate, every piece of it. It intrigued me and fascinated me. And it was beautiful and it was fun. And she had this tote. It was a big Rubbermaid tote. And it was layered with paper towels and newspaper. So we peeled off that top layer of newspaper and tucked underneath were these blue and white Christmas plates. So if you know anything about it's Royal Copenhagen, Bing and Grundle Christmas plates. And so there were these Royal Copenhagen Christmas themed winter scene plates, and each of them had a year. And it was a heavy tote. So I'm like, there's probably a few years of plates in here. We might get a decade or two of these plates. The first one laying on top was a late 1970s plate. So I started researching. And as I researched, I was finding, okay, this is going for like $15. Oh, look, there's one for 20. As you got through certain years in the series, the prices were going up. And there were specific years. It wasn't chronological. It wasn't like the older it was, the more it made, but there were certain years apparently that more limited items. I had heard a story that some of the items were actually damaged during shipment. So there was a limited series production, and then some of that production was lost. So there were certain years there that were going for a premium on eBay. And so I called her back and I was like, all right, let me come show you what I got. So I wrote down all the years and what we could get. And of course, that was considering the wear and tear on the plates. And that was one of the interesting things I learned was around the back side of the plate, especially collectible plates, they hang them on a wall, and if it rubs on the wall, it can kind of scuff up the back. And hers were just in the most amazing condition. She must have had them packed away. They weren't in a box, but they might have been packed away. They certainly weren't, somewhere where they were getting blown or rubbing against the wall. So they were in really good shape. There were no chips, there were no cracks, there was no glazing, that glazing effect that can happen with temperature and humidity issues in like ceramic goods. So it was awesome. And we reviewed it and she was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it." So I set up my little handshake of the commission and showed her what the listing fees were going to be, and then I took the Rubbermaid tote home and I start listing. And I'm getting, views here, saves here, add to watch list there, just moving along. A day or two in, taking my time, listing these plates, taking really great pictures, just getting everything set up. And I get a direct message through eBay from this man in New York who said, I'm interested in the full collection. What years do you have? And I hadn't even finished unloading this tote. I was like maybe 3 layers deep inside this tote. And I said, I'm not sure yet. I haven't gotten there. But so far, I have, this series listed. He said, I'll give you $5,000 for the tote. So this is in 2006. $5,000 went a little further back then. And I was like, that's amazing. Okay, hold on. Let me call my client. So I called Connie and I said, hey, so someone has offered 5,000 for the collection. And she's like, without seeing all of it? I'm like, mm-hmm. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? She's like, yeah, we don't have anything to lose. Let's just list them all individually. I would only imagine that individually they're going to go for more. And I told her I completely agree. The likelihood of someone having, one in a series that they're missing or something like that, they'll pay a premium to get that one piece. So let's just list them. So I said no thank you to the gentleman and went on my way listing. And I was getting so excited because as I went back in time, I'm hitting like 1930, 1920. It's going back and I'm like, man, when did this start? So then I'm researching And I find out that the first plate was issued in 1908. It was called Madonna and Her Baby. And it's Mary and baby Jesus, like a bust profile is the first plate. And I'm just so intrigued. So I'm looking around, Googling, and I found that the 1908 plate was super rare, exceptionally rare in mint condition. And the prices that I was seeing on here, even though the movement was rare, this was not an item that was traded a lot at this point. And there had not been any on eBay in recent search history. So I was like, I don't know what we could get for this plate. Anyway, I just keep listing and the auctions start running and everything's just bidding up like crazy. And I'm calling her, giving her the news. I'm like, oh, we're already at 1,000. Oh, we hit 5,000. We did it. We made the right choice. Just keeps going, just keeps going. I end up getting 3 grand for that 1908 plate alone. And we ended up clearing $18,000 out of this Rubbermaid tote. So I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her the whole truth about how well it went because I wanted to deliver a big fat check. So I, took my commission out, which was fantastic because for the amount of time that I put into it, combined with the amount of joy that I had while doing it, I mean, I would have done it for free, to be honest. It was a ton of fun, but I made a pretty great little sum of money to put into the family fund. So I was feeling proud of myself. The whole thing was just this outrageously win-win situation. And so I hand her check and she just starts crying. She was floored. She was so amazed. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much." She was so happy and so excited. And she called me a couple weeks later and she's like, "Guess what I did with the money?" I'm like, "What did you do?" She's like, "I bought myself a new car." So she put money down on her dream car. And she's like, "It's exactly what my mom would have wanted me to do." So it just was the most heartwarming, beautiful story. And we still have a relationship to this day. And it's just one of those things that there's not a negative moment in it. It was a blessing to work with her. It was a blessing to make money with her, and it was a blessing to surprise her with the outcome of what we had. So that just I was hooked. I was totally hooked. And it began the journey that is now 20 years later. And some other fun little anecdotes of successes I've had. I love sharing these because they're so fun. And it's like I look back at, this time in my life with little kids, and it was so rewarding. It was so rewarding. And then the rewards just kept going. And here I am. It'll be, well, in 2026. So I'm 19 years into it. And the stories I have are just insane. The people I've met, the people that I've sold for, but also the people who've purchased from me. It's been a blast. And I'm going to share a ton of it over time through the podcast. I have a podcast out now. It's called ReLived Radio. So you might be listening to this video on there through the podcast, but this is originally a video intended for YouTube, but I'm going to throw it up on the podcast too. So you might hear some more stories on there, but it's just so cool. The amount of exposure I got so quickly through word of mouth. So she started telling her friends. People around me were like, "Hey, did you hear what Trish was doing? She's doing this crazy thing on eBay. Do you know what eBay is?" It was this thing. And I was getting asked all the time to do things for people. And here's your first lesson. While I am going to try to impart on you to do consignment, I also want to give you the stuff where I'm like, don't make the mistake that I made, because I had to learn the hard way in a number of areas. And this is one of them. Don't say yes to everybody. Please don't say yes to everybody. Set yourself a minimum. My minimum at the time became $50. It needed to sell for $50 to be worth my time and the fees and my commission. And now I raise it. So I'm more at it needs to have $100 minimum in order for me to put the time into it. So price your margins where you're being kind to yourself, because saying yes to someone, and then people handle their stuff with passion, and they handle money with even more passion. And when you get that combined, if you overpromise and underdeliver, there's so much frustration. And, there's so much buzz around it and all these people wanting help and people so excited to get their money and they're counting on the money, some of them, and they're banking on it. And it just becomes this stressful situation if you can't keep everything being listed, everything being sold, and getting your clients their money. So take on new clients slowly. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. So if they're trying to hand you stuff to sell and you look at it and you're like, no, this is not meeting my minimum, just say no. You can say, I'll take these items, but not those. Set yourself some good business boundaries. It'll also make you look credible and like you know what you're doing, that you are not willing to sacrifice your time, their happiness, and your business and or friendship over items that aren't going to serve anybody. So there's my advice on that route. But I lost my train of thought. That happens a lot. Let me just get a drink and I'll think about it for a sec. Oh, minimums. So I set my minimums and I started taking items from, it was a lot of my ex-mother-in-law's friends. They had collectibles, they had antiques from their parents passing, they had cool stuff. So I started doing that. And then as those relationships started to build, I kind of learned who was willing for me to take a little more time, who was more in a rush. And I had some capacity in my day. I was getting fast at it. I was getting good at it. Was like, okay, I think I'm ready to like go to the next level. So there was this funny little newspaper, a printed newspaper. It was pink and it was local to my community and it had, the community title on the top and it was the local women's newspaper. And it would be in doctor's offices or like hair salons or nail salons where you could read this little pink newspaper and it have some articles kind of targeted toward women, but lots of ads targeted toward women. And there was this little spot in the corner, and they were like, rent this space. So I sent an email and I was like, how much to rent this space? And it was legitimately the size of a business card. So I got on Vistaprint and I created myself a little business card and I mailed in this business card. And I was like, I want that spot. It was $75. $75 for a business card that ran for a quarter. So here I had 3 months of exposure in this pink newspaper. And one night I got a call that changed my life. Was cooking dinner, so I screened the call. I didn't want to take a client call while I was, making kitchen noise. So I let it go to voicemail. And I listened to the voicemail and immediately recognized the last name of this woman. She is, let's just say, she's a local celebrity. She's a socialite. She's a billionaire. She's someone who you hear her name and you're like, did she just call my phone? Why is she calling my phone? But anyway, nonetheless, she asked me if I could set up a listing appointment, that she has an obsession with fashion and goes to all of these shows, like runway shows, and goes shopping all over the world and has amassed a very, very extensive collection of clothing, shoes, handbags, accessories, jewelry, hats, scarves, all the things. And so I just, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So I was so nervous, but I show up at her house and, it's like the door, I push the intercom and the door's open. Oh, first I had to get through the gate and then the door's open. And, I'm going up, which side of the stairs should I go up, this side or this side? And so we go upstairs and she takes me into this closet. And it was one of those like, moments where I'm like, people live like this. She was like, okay, so this side of the closet is all stuff that I want to keep. I'm like, okay. And she's like, this side I want to get rid of. These drawers I want to get rid of. She's like, then come with me. We go around, we go around the house to all these other rooms. And she's like, this all needs to go. This all needs to go. This all needs to go. I'll be busy. So of course I was like, yes, yes, please. I cannot wait. So she had a whole set of stuff already for me to take, and it was in black trash bags. And I have an Instagram post up today of those black trash bags because that's what she would do. She'd just get those giant yard waste, super strong trash bags and just like fill them full of stuff. And then I would go pick them up and bring them home, and I'd have no idea what was inside. And I'm reaching in here and I'm like, oh my God, Chanel, oh, Prada. I'm just pulling stuff out and my mind is just blown. So at this point, I'm like, I should probably be wearing gloves or something. Like this stuff is. So I got myself a pair of little white gloves and I'm going through her things and setting up, which auctions I'm going to do. And I'm researching prices and looking for model names on boots and looking for the little serial numbers in limited edition bags. And I was, as of that moment, a consigner of high fashion. And oh my gosh, we did $500,000 in sales that year. 500 grand of her, mostly unused, occasionally worn once. I never had any shoes that, the soles looked like they'd only been worn indoors. And that was it, 500 grand in 1 year. And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I got to a point where I had started going through a divorce from my husband at the time, and I had two young kids. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this full time from home and support myself and support my babies and be just fine. And so mama was there to take them to school. Mama was there to do all the appointments. Dad was off building a business and it was a lot. And we were divorced. So, I had a lot of the household fell on me. But I had plenty of time and plenty of energy for this thing that brought me so much joy to do that was also bringing in cash, crazy amounts of cash. And it's a quick turnaround. You get something, takes you a couple of days if you really work at it. But let's say you give yourself a week to get it listed, then you have auctions run anywhere from, I usually recommend 5 days, but 5 to 10 days. And then people pay really quick. The longest you ever let anybody go is like 3 days, maybe a week if you're being generous. You get it shipped. As soon as it's delivered, the money dumps in your account and you're done. So I had stuff ending each week to where I had income coming in every week. Talk about a pay schedule. Bi-weekly, schmi-weekly. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So many more stories to share with you, but this is just a little taste of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I have started the podcast. I have a course developed. It is called the ReLived Consignment Collective. The idea behind this is that we're going to be a group. So I have taught people individually how to do consignment and online sales in general. I've been doing that this whole time too. Back in that time period between like 2006, 2009, eBay had this program called Trading Assistance. And you had to take their course. You had to pay to take their course. You had to take all these tests or assignments and then pass a test. And then you'd get your little certificate. It was so cute because they'd mail you your certificate and an eBay logoed polo and a tote bag. And I could go around and sell my eBay services like a pro. And it was so great. And they let you set your own rate. So I charged $110 an hour to teach people how to do eBay. The community hired me to come to the senior center to teach people. I had individuals, I had businesses, I had so many people reach out to do these classes. And it was a blast. It was yet another layer of like, yes, that was happening because of this passion that just took over. And now I'm at a place where I'm going to leverage online as a community. So that's why we're doing a podcast. You're going to find me on social media and we're going to have this class. And the class is all laid out. I've got modules for you with not only the video trainings and tutorials and the tech trainings and tutorials, but I find that the biggest time saver, money saver in this thing is my printed guide. So it's broken out by module where you get to print your guide for that lesson. But combined, it creates basically a manual, like a plug and play consignment business. And this doesn't just have to be clothes. I'm going to teach clothes because it's something that everyone has. It's something that you can start with before you decide if you want to have a niche. A lot of people just sell whatever they get exposed to. But I'm going to teach you how to do clothes, teach you how to do some other things. I've got some great suggestions hiding in there too. But these guides are amazing. It's got everything from start to finish on how to start, how to scale, how to do the tech, what you need to know, templates, shortcuts, keywords. I've got every cheat code you can imagine in there, 20 years of cheat codes for you. So I am packaging this in my course. If you are interested, please go to relivedco.com. That's relivedco.com and check it out. We'd love to have you. And then the other thing is the group. So we've created the collective, which is it's held in a Facebook group, like a little incubator in a Facebook group. But the interaction is amazing. We're supporting one another through social media. So we're, helping to get everybody's word out there as someone who offers these services. We can answer questions real time. I go live every week with training and then leave time for questions. And you get me as a private coach once a week, which I mean, it's highly valuable. I've learned a lot of lessons here, and I can give you recommendations and suggestions of places that you might get hung up or get stuck. The other piece I can help you with is the mental piece. Business ownership can be hard. Most of the people that are attracted to my content know something about entrepreneurship. They've tried something, and it can get to you. It can get you in your head. It can get you anxiety driven. It can really kind of knock you off kilter if things aren't going the way that you expect or want them to go. I can help you with that. I can help you with that. I've been through it and I know how to get through it and to keep going. So we'll do that together inside this collective. Okay, if you have any comments or questions, please find me on social media. Reach out. I love DMs. So fun. Tell me how I can support you. Tell me what kind of trainings you want. If this is something you're already doing, I'd love to know it. I'm also looking for podcast guests. I have a pretty good stack right now, probably through the next couple of months. So if you're watching this real time, I'm booked out until about mid-October, but oh my gosh, I would love to pump your Black Friday sales for you or your Christmas sales for you, your holiday shopping extravaganza that happens at the end of the year. Be a podcast guest for me. Let's have a great conversation. I don't need anything from you but your support, and I'm totally here to support you and be your biggest cheerleader because I love it. I love it and I love you. And if you are still here listening, I appreciate you so much. Can't wait to connect with you. Keep being creative, keep thriving. You got this.